Welcome to BlackUSA.News Morning Show. I'm your host, William Honolulu Jr. Join us as we explore the news and opinions that impact our community. We break down how the major stories have a very personal, local, and racial impact. No topic is off limits, but even if the conversation gets rough, we're always going to keep it real. A person prepare themselves for the parental part of homeschooling.
Mm-hmm. Wow, these are some of the best questions that I've ever been asked, because what you're doing is acknowledging really how homeschooling is a lifestyle that really is not about the child, but it's also about the parent. It's about the parent preparing themselves. It's this term that's used called deschooling, and
Yeah.
it's often used in referencing the experience that you create for your child, where they're kind of getting, it's a paradigm shift for them to move from this idea of what education could be. So you're not
Khadijah?
bombarding them or replicating in your home this traditional school sense of education. You're kind of getting a sense of who they are as learners, as people, identifying their interests. But that deschooling process also is important for parents as well. And really identifying, the advice that I always give parents is to start with like a mission statement. A reflective
Okay. I'm sorry.
idea.
I think I was gone for a little while. I didn't hear what you said. I apologize.
You were gone, so I'm just talking to myself. So
I hope, hopefully the people. Well, I'm sure the people heard you, but I did. I apologize for that.
that's
When you
okay.
when you bump into the mouse a little bit and something happens, like where did the screen go? What happened? What happened? Where's it? Okay, fine. Go ahead.
Well, I was talking about deschooling, and I was talking
Right.
about how you had so brilliantly identified the fact that it's really important for parents to begin this deschooling process, which really allows them to identify what is the purpose of all of this, right? And then when what are the goals and objectives that what is the experience you want to curate for your children, for them to not
Mm-hmm.
only be excellent learners, but loving the learning process. And so all of these things start to come up when they reflect on their own experiences, the things that they don't want to replicate for their children. And a lot of our experiences, for those of us who are in traditional learning spaces, we realize that a lot of our learning um, really required us to be complicit in things that weren't necessarily in our best interest, but made it easier for maybe perhaps a teacher to manage a classroom,
Yes.
for what you're even talking about, for the school to be able to say that we have students of this caliber, so it's more data driven as opposed to what that actual learning experience is for the child. And so when a parent is able to really reflect on those things, they're able to see that homeschooling really can be unique to what the needs are of your learner, but also the capacity that you have as a parent.
Right.
And so a lot of people ask me, oh, you're homeschooling, but you have a doctorate, which I got only less than 2 years ago, right? But it's always something. Oh,
It's
you're
still
familiar with
file.
education,
It's still
or your
file.
child
Don't
was
get it
was
twisted.
talented. What'd you say?
But the word is still file, even though it's fresh. Don't get it twisted.
But it's always something to speak to
The
the
otherism.
privileges that I have, or the
Yeah.
experiences that I've had, which makes it impossible. And that's also one of the myths of homeschooling, is that all homeschoolers, whereas it's one parent that stays at home, they're of
Right.
upper or higher middle class. And what we're finding, what it's becoming clear, particularly for Black homeschoolers, is that there's definitely no monolith. That you have homeschooling parents who may be single, you have working class homeschooling parents.
Yeah.
My colleague Cheryl Field Smith, who helped co-found Black Family Homeschool Educators and Scholars with me, she's a professor out of the University of Georgia, and really she has been the researcher who's been consistently focused on Black homeschooling for the past 16 years. She has a book out on Black women who are single homeschooling, where some of the women in her study were on welfare. So understanding that this is something that is possible for for anyone, but it's really about this paradigm shift that you speak of in terms of what is it that you are, what capacity do you have, and how are you building your capacity to successfully homeschool?